Okay, the next area I wanted to go over was the different conditions that can lead to low energy levels. And those are anemias, first of all. You can't be even a little bit anemic. I know some doctors say, oh, you're a little anemic, it's no big deal. Well, from an energy standpoint and a nutritional standpoint, it's a huge deal. Because when you're anemic, as you can see from this diagram, you have too few cells. So you're not getting enough oxygen, and you're not getting enough nutrients, and you're not getting the important things to the cells of your body and your mitochondria in order to help you generate sufficient amounts of energy. So anemia is a huge deal. So make sure you check out my the handouts where I give you the proper tests for anemia, the proper symptoms to look for anemia, and then there's a follow-up one that tells you exactly what to do about it. Next are blood sugar issues. Blood sugar imbalances are also a really big deal. One of the main reasons why the paleo or ketogenic style diets are so helpful to people with Hashimoto's is because these diets help to regulate blood sugar imbalances. Glucose is your body's fuel, but again, if you're hypoglycemic, then you don't have enough sugar to fuel the different parts of your body. And if you're insulin resistant, you have too much sugar, well, what's happening there is insulin is not working properly, and the sugar is not getting into the cells of the body, so effectively you're also kind of sugar deficient. Sugar is the source of energy. So we have to really be careful about balancing blood sugar, keeping our blood sugar levels consistent. A low carb, high fat, nutrient dense protein diet is the best. Next is the brain. The brain is hugely impacted by Hashimoto's and hypothyroidism. In fact, I created an entire program that focuses only on this because I'm so passionate about it. And frankly, it freaks me out that so many other practitioners and doctors don't even seem to discuss it. And a lot of fatigue is brain-based. Mitochondria in the brain is vulnerable to destruction. So if you have brain inflammation, they can get wiped out. And having a healthy brain is also essential for so many functions, especially energy. So we have to do everything we can to nourish our brains, to stimulate our brains, to get enough oxygen to our brains, to make sure we're getting enough blood flow to the brain so your blood pressure can't be low. Make sure we get enough sugar to the brain, so we got to be careful with that sugar balance again. Critically important for brain function. And the next is the gut. Gut is another area that's very, very important for energy. Right? Many researchers refer to the gut. There's a nervous system in the gut called the enteric nervous system, and a lot of researchers refer to this as your body's second brain. And what goes on in the gut influences the brain to a huge degree. They're very closely related. Also, the gut is where we absorb all these important nutrients, vitamins, and minerals. If your gut's not working properly, and you have malabsorption, you may not be getting enough fuel. Inflammation in the gut and issues like leaky gut, where we have the tight junctions breaking down, you get particles in the bloodstream, fragments of proteins and other things that shouldn't be there. That can lead to systemic inflammation, which can end up blocking energy levels. That inflammation can again cause brain inflammation, which the mitochondria is very sensitive to. So the gut is hugely, hugely important from an energy standpoint. We have to heal the gut. What we also have to do is heal the liver. Right? If your liver is backed up and clogged, then you may not be able to process environmental toxins. There are many circulating hormones like estrogen that gets built up and doesn't get cleared out of the body because it's not properly metabolized by the liver when the liver is not functioning properly. Also, thyroid hormone is converted there. 60% of thyroid hormone conversion from T4 to T3 happens in the liver. So the liver is another area that's critically important for energy. So we have to make sure we get the liver functioning, clean it up if necessary, do a liver cleanse. There's a great product that I put in the list of supplements. It's called Clearvite. Be sure to check that out. Next are adrenal issues. This is another super important area for energy. Right? They're closely linked to blood sugar issues because when your sugar crashes or your sugar spikes, the adrenals are recruited. Cortisol helps to counterbalance insulin issues. Also, your adrenals are totally tied into your sleep cycle, in your circadian rhythm. Right? Cortisol and melatonin are mirror opposites. When one goes up, the other one goes down. So they're essentially managers of your body's energy clock. So it's really important to deal meaningfully with stress and to heal your adrenals. And finally, of course, is the thyroid. Right? The thyroid is responsible for so many different systems of the body, but particularly important for generating energy and metabolic rates. So we got to make sure the thyroid's functioning right. We got to make sure that we're producing enough thyroid hormone, that we're converting enough thyroid hormone, that we're absorbing enough thyroid hormone. We also have to be really careful to make sure the thyroid is not being too aggressively attacked by the immune system. So we have to calm inflammation, the systemic inflammation that can be caused by a number of different things, by what's happening in the gut, by what's going on in the liver, what's going on with the foods that we eat. So super important. All of these issues are critical for good energy. So recap, quick. What are they? Anemia, very important. Do not ever be anemic, not even a little. Blood sugar balance, right? Make sure you're not hypoglycemic or insulin resistant or hyperglycemic. Sugar balance is critical. The brain, we got to pay attention to our brain, heal our brains. Make sure there's no or low brain inflammation. Keep the inflammation in the brain down. Give enough blood flow to the brain, enough stimulation, enough sugar and oxygen. The gut, we got to make sure we heal the gut. We don't have leaky gut. We don't have the breakdown of the barrier systems. We have to make sure we heal the liver. The liver is critically important for so many things. Then the adrenals. Got to make sure the adrenals are functioning properly. Got to make sure we deal with stress. We have to have a real stress strategy, not just know abstractly that stress is a factor. And finally, the thyroid. Of course, we have to heal the thyroid. So those are the main things. Again, check out the handouts. There's detailed information on how to assess these problems. There's detailed information on how to test for these problems with a lot of clinical pearls that I put in there. I've never been so detailed with testing before, so you're going to be thrilled with all that great information. And there's also detailed information on what supplements I use and how to use them. And also we've talked about diet. Now in terms of diet, I think the critical thing to think about here is it's got to be nutrient dense for energy. We got to be really careful with blood sugar balance, so we got to avoid the refined sugars and refined carbohydrates. I think we should be cautious about grains. I think we should be cautious about dairy. I think dairy from the U.S. is some of the worst dairy on the planet for a variety of reasons. Many people have issues with it, so I highly recommend avoiding, of course, gluten, dairy, and soy. I think we've got to be cautious about nightshades. What we want to do is eat a diet that's really rich in nutrient-rich foods. So fish are very important, seafood. Organ meat is very, very nutrient-dense, very helpful. Bone broth, I think, can be helpful. You got to be careful with bone broth because it is high in histamine, and some people react to that. We want to eat a diet that's got plenty of vegetables in it, dense, nutrient-dense proteins, and lots of good fats. So again, coconut oil, avocados. We saw how important omega-3 fatty acids are. So those fish oils, alpha-lipoic acid too, the fat-soluble vitamins of vitamin D and vitamin A. Super important, all of these. All right, so that's it for now. We're going to jump to the next series of videos. So make sure you check out all those things that I mentioned. Check out the handouts for how to assess for these issues properly and what to do about them. I'm Mark Ryan, licensed acupuncturist and herbalist from Hashimoto'sHealing.com. Be good, be kind. Remember to have compassion for everyone, including yourself. and your mitochondria. Hope, help, and healing. With a hint of humor, Hashimoto'sHealing.com.